This video is about and contains some spoilers for Prey. No, the other one. The game. The one after that. The one that was actually released in 2017. That one. Good. If you haven't played it yet, I highly suggest you do, as I'm about to analyze the best bits in it. Okay? Okay. Let's begin. You awaken from your slumber as your smart house raises the blinds, revealing a beautiful day to accompany your penthouse suite. Your brother calls you. You're going to be late for your new job. It's a family affair, it turns out, and he says you'll be in orbit soon. Guess you're an astronaut. After checking your emails, having a shower, and not being able to soak in the sunlight, you don your uniform and leave your room. The hallway needs some maintenance, apparently. The plumber wishes you a good morning, and you leave her to her work. It seems plumbing isn't the only maintenance this place needs. There's plenty of scuff marks on the floor as well. Nevertheless, you get in the lift and take yourself to the top floor. The helicopter's already landed and waiting. Without any reason to prolong it, you take flight. It's nice to be rich, isn't it? San Francisco in all its splendor. The pilot takes the scenic route, giving you plenty of time to absorb the famous West Coast. Before you know it, you've landed at Transtar Industries headquarters. Waiting inside is a little floating robot, a science operator. If it wasn't obvious before, you're clearly in an advanced technological future. You're informed you have some tests to run, and it's probably best not to keep the boss waiting. Looks like they need a janitor for the floors too. We reach the testing floor and oh look, it's your brother. He's excited to have you aboard, and wants to get the testing out of the way so you can join him fully. Astronauts go through some pretty demanding tests, so I hope you're up to the task. You step into the testing room and you're greeted by Dr. Bellamy and his assistants. To start with, he asks you to remove some boxes from a circle. Okay, that should be easy. And job done. He doesn't seem thrilled. Whatever, you did what he asked. Next test. Ooh, chairs and lights. Some kind of interrogation? No, you just have to hide. Sure. There's nowhere but the chair to take cover, so you might as well do that. Once more, they aren't very good at hiding their disappointment, but there's also clearly nothing more you could have done there. Maybe this is some kind of stress test to see how you deal with negative feedback. Next test. Now you get over a wall and press a button. Well, that's some kind of physical exertion at least. One hurdle and done. Oh boy. They're clearly not happy. They insist it's not your fault, but it doesn't take a social butterfly to see through their reassurance. Oh well. One last test. A computer, a desk, a chair. Might as well take a seat. Bellamy asks for a coffee, and you begin what seems to be a personality test. Do you like going somewhere familiar or new? Let's say you like novelty. You've been sentenced to death for your actions. How do you feel? These guys aren't going to kill you, are they? Afraid. Oh hey, the trolley problem. Well, you know the answer to this. Trolley problem 2.0. You're a utilitarian, right? Push the fat man. Trolley problem 3.0. I'm sure you're noble and honorable. Let's sacrifice your life for everyone else. And finally, a Rorschach test. For a state-of-the-art company, you're surprised they're using such an outdated... Wait, what?
In a moment I'm going to ask you what... is my coffee? It's empty.
Ow! Oh my god! Security! Security!
Oh dear. You awaken from your slumber as your smart home raises the blinds, revealing a beautiful day to accompany your penthouse suite. Your brother doesn't call you. Your emails are full of spam. You don your uniform and leave your room. The hallway needs some maintenance, apparently. The plumber doesn't wish you a good morning. Yeah, she's dead. The doors are locked, and the route to the lift doesn't exist. You pick up the wrench from the floor and receive a call.
Hello, Morgan. It's time we spoke. My code name is January. You're not dreaming. What happened yesterday was real. If you want to know what's going on, first, you need to get out of your apartment building. You're not safe.
Guess the emails weren't spam then, and neither today nor yesterday was a dream. But how is that possible? The lift just isn't there anymore. Plan B. Is the balcony door still jammed? Yes, it is. It's made of glass though, right? Time for some percussive maintenance. So this intro is already pretty intriguing, but allow me to explain why it's the best tutorial ever made for a video game. Right at the very beginning, the player is given an environment which allows them to explore a fair few game mechanics in their own time. They learn they can pick up objects, search storage containers, and interact with various electronics such as computer displays and lights. The outside corridor lets you know that people will interact with you. It sounds simple, but some games don't do that. A perceptive player can already pick out some strange speech patterns, such as
Down the hall. But you know that, I guess.
They might also notice the little marks on the floor, implying heavy object movement. The tests themselves are where it gets really interesting from a narrative perspective. This is where I introduce the concept of neuromods. Imagine talent being injectable. One quick prick and you now have the ability to play the piano like Mozart. This is the premise of neuromods, which are only possible thanks to the aliens we saw earlier, the Typhon. Each individual neuromod has to be created using Typhon parts, meaning to make a lot of neuromods, you need a lot of Typhon to farm. How do you get Typhon? Well, let's put that aside for now. One of the benefits to neuromods is it allows humans to gain Typhon abilities. This includes, but is not limited to, mind-powered explosions, turning into small to medium-sized objects, and short-range teleportation. Now let's take our minds back to the tests. What were they again? The first was removing boxes from a circle. A human would pick up and move them, or just kick them aside. A Typhon? Knock them out with a Mind Blast. The second was hiding in a room with just a chair. A human doesn't exactly have a lot of options, but Typhon, on the other hand. Finally, the hurdle. You see where I'm going with this. During the tests, you do only what you are capable of. This is why the researchers are so confused. You should have the Typhon's abilities. Wait, but how? Well, you haven't installed any neuromods yet. There's one teeny tiny thing I haven't mentioned yet. Neuromods are removable, but in doing so, also removes any memories made since the neuromod installation. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, years, it'll leave permanent holes in your memory. The player is not just dumped randomly into a day in Morgan's life. It's the day after various neuromods got removed. Morgan, like the player, doesn't know this, but he/you have been running these tests for a while now. It's why Alex asks Morgan if his eye is still red. Each test cycle involves adding new neuromods into Morgan and testing to see if they work. This time it clearly hasn't. So, what's with the personality test? This is where we break the fourth wall a bit. This is the developers asking us, the player, what do you believe? Do you prefer old reliable or something new? Prey's gameplay is similar to that of a lot of other games, but different enough that if you play it that way, you're going to have a difficult time. Do you stick with what you know you're already good at, or try the new options that the game presents in its unique mechanics? To put it another, more reductive way, human or Typhon abilities. You've been sentenced to death for your actions. How do you feel? This one may be in reference to the fact that Morgan is jointly responsible for everything happening on Talos 1, the spaceship you're on, which, just as a side note, involves sacrificing Gulag prisoners to obtain more Typhon to create more neuromods. I think you'd probably be given the death sentence for that. There's possibly also some fourth wall breaking, how afraid are you of the aliens in this game question here, since being sentenced to death is pretty equivalent to being placed up against aliens that cannot experience empathy and only know how to reproduce by killing, but who knows. And the trolley problem. In short, if the Typhon make it to Earth, everyone on Earth dies. Exponentially growing parasites? Not a great time, honestly. To save the lives of many, you may have to end the lives of a few. All good in theory. It's quite a different story when you've had personal interactions with the few, and the many are a faceless ball floating in space. One of the side quests in this game involves a situation where an escape pod is heading to Earth. There are two people inside of it, but there is no guarantee that it is typhon-free. You can remotely detonate the escape pod from where you stand. Do you do it? The question in the test is not simply asking the trolley problem in the abstract, it's asking you to put it into practice. Do you truly believe in giving up the lives of the few for the lives of the many? Prove it. In conclusion, Prey's tutorial answers many questions that many game developers struggle with. How do we create a cohesive tutorial that also functions as an intriguing story intro? How do we account for the fact that the in-universe character should know far more than the player? And how do we introduce our unique mechanics? Tutorials are often infamously difficult in games due to needing to accomplish many different objectives at once, and here's Prey nailing every single one. Anyway, that's my game design course, bye.